Everyone get settled. Thank you very much. All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the 7th annual Licensing Live event. It's great to see so many familiar faces and lots of new ones also. I think I know a lot of people in the room, but for those of you who don't know me, I'm Michelle Nerlinger. I run marketing for SafeNet. I think we have a really great agenda for you guys here today. It's no secret that cloud computing has changed the way a lot of industries are expected to do business with their customers. The software industry is no exception. So that's what we're here to talk about today. But not necessarily migrating to the cloud or how to become a cloud service provider, but how to create that cloud-like experience for your customers through a variety of ways. So in the morning, we have a variety of industry experts. We're going to kick off the morning with Ray Wong from Constellation Research and Amy Connery from IDC. Ray makes a business of talking to your customers, to the B2B software consumers about what they want, how they want to purchase from you, what the experience is that they most enjoy, what they're looking for. Followed by Ray will be Amy, who's going to cover from the ISV perspective. Amy works with all of your peers, probably many of you, on what challenges they're facing, how they're overcoming them, mistakes they've made, how not to make those same mistakes. So Amy will walk you through that. Then we are going to go to lunch, break for lunch. And in the afternoon, it's examples, examples, examples. We have Simon Kucher here, who is a go-to-market consulting firm specialized on the software industry, right? Helping organizations change how they market, price, package their software. He's going to talk through a couple of examples of clients, what the tipping point was for changing how they bring their software to market, what they changed about it, how they changed it, again, lessons learned, and then more importantly, the ROI. What was the benefit of the change? On that same thread, we have executives from Logi Analytics and Aviva, both here talking through their software evolution for you. Please leverage them, see them at the breaks, ask them questions. I think one of the most important things about this event that sometimes we take for granted isn't necessarily the presentations. It's the people in this room. It's everyone sitting next to you. This is the largest collection of software developers, software product managers, software executives that I know of that's focused exclusively on go-to-market, licensing, packaging, strategy. So meet people, introduce yourselves. From SafeNet, we've got a lot of our executives here. We have Ansgar Dote, who heads up worldwide sales. Ansgar heads up worldwide sales for SafeNet. We also have Shlomo Weiss, who is the GM of the software division. And then coming up on his 1-year anniversary with SafeNet and our first presenter, we have Dave Hansen. Dave Hansen is a really great guy, not because he's a good CEO, that is it, but because he has such a rich history in the software industry, which he's about to talk you through now. So unless anybody has any questions, I'm going to introduce Dave. For those of you tweeters, there's cheat sheets on your tables for each of the presenters and SafeNet and the event. If you have any other questions, all the SafeNet people have the purple bar on their badges. Come to us, ask us questions. We're happy to help. So with that, Dave.
Thanks, Michelle. On now. Sure it's on now? Okay, you can go down a little bit probably. Okay, everyone's awake now. Excellent. Thank you, Michelle. First of all, I just want to thank everybody for coming. You know, this is a great event. I have not been with the company a year yet. I started last December, so I'm really excited to participate in this event. It's the first time I've had the opportunity to be able to speak here at Licensing Live. And I'm still learning more about the company too. So some of you might know more about our history than I do. It's our 30th anniversary this year, so it's an exciting time in the company's history. And it's very cool for me to have the opportunity to run the company. And I want to give a little bit about my background. I'm not really good about talking about myself, but I think it's relevant for our conversation today and throughout today when you start having different conversations and listening to other presenters. Is that there's a few logos up there, some software companies. I assume everyone knows two out of the three. Numara being the third one that probably people don't know as much. Numara was about a $100 million software company based in Tampa, Florida that specialized in help desk software as well as asset management and mobile device management. So I was the CEO there, and the company got bought by BMC last year. But before I get into that, I just want to, my background is actually running IT organizations. I'm not really qualified to be a CEO, so I'll warn you that now. My team has figured that out already. I have a computer science degree. I'm from Canada. You'll hear my accent. It comes out pretty quick with me. I ran IT in the education, and I ran IT in the pulp and paper sector. And then I moved to the U.S. and joined CA. And I actually ultimately became the CIO of CA, so I was a real consumer of IT and a consumer of software, and ultimately I even wrote some software. I hope nobody is using the software I ever wrote because it's probably pretty bad. But I ended up running an IT organization for a Fortune 500 company. And so you think that my understanding of the industry was a person that acquired technology, how to enable a business with that technology and deliver results for our company. And then my career evolved a little bit, and I want to kind of take some blame for being part of the problem now, because I started running different businesses at CA. So I ran their security business, I ran all their management products, I ran their cloud products before leaving there 2 years ago. And when you think about licensing models, is anyone here from CA? Excellent. Okay. Any attorneys here? All right. Look, so I want to tell a few stories, and they would not be offended by any of this. I still have very good friends there and spend a lot of time talking to them. But I think they're relevant to some of the challenges that exist in the industry and some of the things that the industry perpetuates. And if you think about different licensing models, the big guys are a problem because they don't really have them. And they have multiple ones, and they're not consistent across product portfolios. And it leaves their customers in just this state of confusion on how to manage their environments. Because any IT leader or CIO or business owner today, the number one thing that they're worried about is ensuring that they're compliant with regulations, with licensing, with everything. Not just this pure licensing of software, but everything they do, because so many things have happened over the last, say, 10, 15 years that have implemented so many new regulatory requirements and all that. So CIOs when I went to be the CIO at CA, I was getting ready to do an SAP deployment, all that kind of fun stuff. I spent about 40% of my time on compliance issues, including issues dealing with my vendors and my partners and not knowing if I was trued up on different licensing. And I'm going to get into a little more of that. But so that was how my career evolved, and then I became CEO of a software company, Numara in Tampa, and then BMC for a while, and then I joined SafeNet. So my perspective is a little bit different, so feel free to challenge me or ask me any questions. It's what I know is from what my background is. So the concern that I find that all these companies have struggled with is how intrusive these licensing models are. And as being an IT guy, I've been a guy at 5 to 12 midnight having to put in a new product key because the software is going to expire that night and our paper mill was going to go not into production. Things like that would happen. And those are scary things for IT people. So how intrusive those things are to that end user and customer can be very problematic. And that's the stuff that we as an industry have to make it better. And so if you think about all those things that make these solutions harder for that end user and the customer, we've got to work on better ways of doing that. So if you think about these three things, I think is a really good way to categorize what some of the challenges are. Anytime an end user needs to use the application is allowed to do that. So that example, I've seen it happen, and I would definitely give examples with no names of companies that were actually held hostage to renegotiate a contract because of that, right? I'm sure people have experienced that, okay? And some of the companies I've worked for are a little more aggressive at doing things like that. And that's a hard place to be. You never recover quite well from those relationships with that customer. I've been in many very difficult meetings that historically some of these things have happened, and it's very hard to win that customer back when they're actually locked out of their software. And there's always ways around it and solve it, but it's a challenge. And then proving the licensing agreement compliance. So very good point, because if you think about licensing, I was talking at a breakfast meeting this morning on this, is that if you're the CIO what do you want? You want to have, you go buy tools to verify you're compliant with your license models, right? Like that, they do. There's a big industry in selling tools, and Microsoft makes a lot of money at it. CA does, BMC does, Alteris does, Symantec, selling IT management solutions to do inventory, software delivery, and all that. The problem is, I'll give a real-world example here. Anyone here from Adobe? Okay. It's not a bad story, but it's a relevant story. Is that one of the things I inherited when I walked into the door as the CIO at CA is I had a letter on my desk for an invoice because we're out of compliance for $1.7 million with Adobe. And CA sold these solutions, right, to validate compliance of software. Okay? And as CIO in my office, I had a great office, by the way, but I had 2 plasma screens on my office, and one of them would have our entire asset intelligence solution, and would actually show all my hardware around the world and who had what software was on everything. And trying to reconcile, I've got this $1.7 million bill. And it was very unfortunate. I got my SVP of infrastructure in my office and said, Bill, tell me, like, is this right? He's like, Dave, we don't know. That software only can tell us about 40 to 50% accurate. So that's the challenge, right? And it's a tough thing because I'm a very, okay, CA has a bit of a storied history, right? And I joined after all the challenges, but I lived through coming out of these challenges. And so CA is held to a very high standard of compliance. So I would definitely tell you, anyone, that CA will never do anything inappropriate because of the challenges they went through and all the repair of the company and transformation of the company. So compliance was a critically important thing. I wrote the check. Like, there's no question. I wrote that check very quickly because we couldn't prove it. We couldn't even debate it. And we had to say, well, we got to probably do it that way, right? And the unplanned true-up, like those things come and hit you. I didn't budget for that $1.7 million that month, that quarter. I didn't even know it was out there. We thought we were fully licensed. So those types of things, when they show up, that end user is just so frustrated because if you put yourself in their shoes or in their seat, they're spending a lot of time and effort trying to move funding around to figure out how to make that happen just to do something that the vendor, you owe them the money, that's true, but it's just a bad taste in everyone's mouth. So I got a creative graphics team here. So the question is that if you think about those opportunities you had in the industry and working for different companies, if you were able to fire up the flux capacitor and go back in time, what would you do? What would you think differently? And I kind of put into 3 things. One being a lot more thinking really about the customer, the end customer. Because if you think about it, many of you are our customers, but the end customer is the person actually using the software. So being more cognizant of that is an important thing. And I do feel at CA over the years they got pretty far away from that. I also think it's just that whole user experience is an important aspect, is that how they interact with the solutions and all that is a really key thing. And then last, it's really around the usage data, like who's doing what with the software. And if you think about different applications, anyone a Clarity user? Anyone know about Clarity, the product Clarity? It's a project and portfolio management solution, really good solution. CA bought a company called Niku, who's based in Redwood City up the street. But that's a really, really good application. But it's big. It's for IT governance and managing projects in IT. It's a big piece of software. Does everyone really use everything in it? And could you license components of it based on the usage? That's a great question. And they don't know the answer to that. Who's here in product management? Anybody? Right? And that's the hardest thing, right? Is you're in product management, you're trying to design which features you need which features customers are using. Tough thing to do unless you really know the usage. So if you think, this is my creative team again here. That's not my desk. If you think about the usage data, I look at it as 3 things. It's really about being able to audit. It's about consumption-based usage models. And lastly, it gives you insight into what's happening. So if you had that dashboard as a software vendor provider and you knew those things, it would give you phenomenal realization of what your customers are using things for, and it would give you clearer and clearer direction on roadmaps of technology and where you want to take it. That's a hard thing. People aren't doing that very well today, and I find that that's the hugest opportunity in this market today, is being able to address those needs. So in the audit point of view, we talked a little bit about this. It's a bit of a no-brainer, but the ability to really have the reporting, and that the customers could have customer portals to actually see how they're effectively using the software and auditing themselves, right? And being able to ensure that they're in compliance with their agreements. That is a simple thing to say, but that is what a customer has to have. They have to know that, because they do not want to have these surprises. They don't want to be caught off guard. They don't want to be in the 11th hour trying to deal with a problem and it's a licensing issue. So it's really important that those audit capabilities are there and are available to that end customer. The different business models is, in different companies I've been at, everyone wants to be super flexible and offer all these different business models. But generally, they don't implement the technology to do it. They expect to be able to do it with some financial reporting or using lawyers to validate whether agreements are in place, doing revenue share models. But trying to do usage-based models and consumption-based models is something that is absolutely what everyone's demanding. We're hearing it all the time. People want to be able to really get the benefit of the software and have it derived from the benefit of the value to that customer. And more of that, there's a lot of pressure I find on people wanting to do that, and that's something that we're very focused on delivering those solutions. The picture here is really a sushi type restaurant where the business model is interesting, right? Is that you're paying by the color of the plate in this example, right? And so if you think about the different revenue, we're trying to do more in our security business, I'll talk about in a minute. We're trying to do a lot more revenue sharing models with some of our customers. If you think about the amount of stuff that's happening in the cloud, we're now offering a lot of our data center-based security solutions on Amazon, with Amazon as a partner, and we're exploring how do we do just revenue share models as opposed to them buying more and more hardware from us. You have to get there, right? So different models are really what's driving it, and it's based on having to have the usage data to be able to provide that. And then the insight. This is one that, going back to the product managers that are here, that I find it so frustrating, and I've been in so many meetings over my career trying to figure out, do you really think we should add this feature? What's the value of adding this feature? And having no data other than anecdotal, our customers said, oh, they love this feature, or they need this feature, or they'll use this feature. And you spin up a whole engineering team and cycles on going to do that, and ultimately they might not really need that. Or they end up, you implement it, and then going back and analyzing the value of that feature set, and are they really using it? Are they getting the advantage that you thought? Tough question to answer today. And I know I've been in many, many meetings, and we have them in our company too, where the process of get a product out the door has to go through many gates. And these are the questions that we ask. Is it worth putting that feature in, or should we go and fix that feature that really didn't work that well? And what's the priority, and what's the trade-off? And getting that data from your customers and that's real as opposed to anecdotal really makes better business decisions ultimately. And so just the business intelligence of knowing like where the features are being utilized, what is the licensing model your customers are using, even location-wise, where people are using the software. Because a lot of you are from global companies, we're all a global company. I find very interesting is that certain places, because different requirements or legislation or restriction or different offerings and different rules on what can go in the cloud and not go in the cloud, you get very different adoption rates around the world. So knowing that information will actually really help you drive ultimately a better product. So in my first meeting, so my background, right, not in software licensing, right? I'm the guy who was screwing it up. Remember that? So I'm not the software licensing expert. So I'm being recruited for this job at SafeNet. And another big chunk of our business is security, which I know a fair amount about. But this space, I didn't think I knew about. And then someone kind of was, well, actually the guys hiring me, the board of directors, was telling me about it. And they didn't describe it very well until I could put it in terms of this. So this is my real first experience with, I would say, software licensing models, is that I'm dating myself a little bit. It's a Commodore 64, and I see a few people in the room that are at least my age that might have played with one of these. So I was in college, that's what I had, and any video game you had on it, you had to plug a dongle into the serial port, right? Because what we all did, we were copying these 5.25-inch floppies and all the copyright things. We all, university guys, figured out how to get around them all and everything. And so, I told the team, I know everything about this business because I did this, right? And they all laughed at me and said, you don't know anything about this business. So my data point was a little off, but it was something that, but it stuck in my head is that, because I actually have on my desk a box full of different dongles that we use because this is a very, very relevant solution to date. When people need to have protection at a high-end compute device, it still makes a lot of sense. But the market has evolved greatly, right? As the whole software industry as a whole, just over the last 10 or 12 years, has evolved magnificently. And so if you think about what we call software monetization in this whole market, there's a lot of components that go into it, right? And there's a lot of different ways people are addressing it. But if you kind of go around the horn here on the different components, is that when you have the management of it, is being able to have the automation, cost control, and improve the customer experience for license provisioning is critical. Like the product catalogs, versatility, business model flexibility, agility, these are all important pieces to deliver. The control pieces, I think where the industry has tended to focus is on the enforcement models, right? Whether it's dongles, whether it's software, whether it's cloud, it's a piece of it, but it's only a component of the whole thing. And we have a lot of customers that basically just do some IP protection, which is great, you know, and we do a good job at that. But it's evolving to really become a whole platform for licensing with entitlements management, as well as new enforcement techniques and models that no one really predicted before. And we're starting to see those a lot with new cloud providers. And then last is this whole tracking component. Like that, I've talked a lot about it, but that's an area where people really want to have more data and more analytics to know how to make their software and solutions better. I tell my team they're not allowed to have a presentation without talking about our other part of the business, the security side. So I won't bore you for long, but I do want to point out that these 4 metrics are interesting metrics. I like having some facts, interesting facts all the time when I'm talking to any customers. But these 4 bullets are pretty relevant. So SafeNet, which I say, been around for 30 years, trusted company in the industry, been doing this stuff for a long time. We actually protect 80% of the financial transactions in the world get secured by SafeNet. Little known fact, right? Impressive. Like, I was kind of surprised about that as well. But you look at any bank, any large bank in the world has some of our technology to ensure those messages and bank transfers go through. We have 35 million identities protected online for a lot of different providers. A lot of them we can't use names and all that sensitivity, but this is our authentication business by using smart cards and tokens and software. We have a great online authentication service, a SaaS solution for that. The one that you're all here about is that helping 100 million customers be able to value their software in a higher way. That's a key aspect, and we have a lot of customers, which I'll point out in a second. And then the last one is that the de facto root of trust for 700 million encryption keys. So we're kind of a quiet company. One of the things I found when I joined is that when I saw this, I'm like, why are we not like, everyone knows who SafeNet is. But the complexity becomes that a lot of these customers don't even like talking about some of the things we do for them. So it's kind of an interesting place to be. It's fun for me because it's exciting, and we're a key strategic vendor for the biggest companies in the world and biggest governments in the world. But it's something that we don't get to talk about a lot other than forums like this. So we kind of are a shy company. So we're trying to improve on that reputation. We're trying to get a little more bold. So you think about the customers. So there's a couple logos up there that are all comfortable with us sharing. And this is really I would say in what we call the data protection business. So these are mostly security companies. There are some common ones you'll see on this slide and the next. But these are really well-known names that we protect very well. And I'm really thrilled when I go to meet with these customers, and I've probably met with a lot of them on that list by now. We just do a good job for them. You know, it's not something that we say we make a lot of noise about, and it's infrastructure and a little bit it's plumbing, but their businesses are very much at risk if we're not there to support them. Cisco has a hard time shipping a router without us, which is kind of fun. That's a cool place to be for us, and we're very proud of that. On the software monetization side, we have over 15,000 customers, and they range from something in the hundreds of dollars to millions of dollars. So it's quite a range, and if you look at the list of customers on there, you see a very diverse range of customers. And you think about the different industries or platforms we serve. So we're very, very strong in on-premise technology and cloud. And in the other area, which I won't be talking about today, but I know we have customers here from Brocade and other providers of hardware technology that are concerned about embedded software on hardware. That is a very big market for us now. And that's where I think it's a whole new customer base that's opened up to us. Probably Samsung is on that list too. I don't see them there, but a lot of the hardware providers that are trying to secure and provide the integrity, the value of the software on the hardware is a great space for us as well. So that's an exciting place for us to be in too. My last slide. So these are all the different avenues. Licensing Live, the intent of this conference that started in 2000 and, Michelle? Six? Okay, the customers know. No. Marketing person doesn't know this. This is strange. It's not meant to be a one-time event. Like, we do get together once a year in different places and that, but the intent is really to have an ongoing living, breathing environment and forum, right? So if you think about all the different avenues with blogs and Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook, those are all available to everyone all year round, and we have a lot of people that moderate those things, and it's something that I get involved in. When someone brings up things to me, it comes through here. It's great. So please take advantage of that. It's something that our marketing team's done a great job at really improving how we interact with people, and this thing's evolved, and it's gotten bigger and bigger every year. So I'd like to take advantage of it, and please let me know. You can reach me through any of these ways, but you also, my email is very simple. It's just dave.hansen@safenet-inc.com. The -inc thing is anyone have to wrestle with that before? Actually, so anyone here from New Jersey? How about that? There's a little tiny computer store in New Jersey called SafeNet. And they own SafeNet.com. So I sent some goons over there, but it didn't really work. So I was willing to buy the store. I said, why don't we just buy the store and have a storefront? No. What's that? Protection.com, is it available? Yeah. No, definitely not. Safe.net's available, but it's funny. But SafeNet, because I would tell a story that everyone remembers, it's SafeNet-inc.com. So with that, I just wanted to kick things off today. I'm around all day and open to anyone that want any side meetings or conversations. I want to open it right now for any questions that anyone has that want to address to me before we continue on the program. So any questions from anyone? It's going to be easy on me? I don't mind that. Okay, well, excellent. So you have ways to communicate with us easily all throughout the day, and if you want me, just pull me aside anytime. I'm just going to be in and out for a couple meetings, but thank you all for coming. I really appreciate your business and potential business, and if there's anything we do to help, one thing I've really found with our company is we go above and beyond, I truly believe, than any of our competitors to meet the needs of our customers. So if that's not the case, then please tell me, and I'll make sure it is the case. So thank you very much, everyone, and I'm turning it over to Ray. So Ray's up next.